Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Hello, good
Afternoon.
afternoon.
Do you want your
Good afternoon.
camera to be on? There you are, so they can see you. Nice backdrop.
No,
But why can't you hear anything? Ayana?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, good afternoon. How is everybody?
We are
Fine,
so
fine.
well.
We're good.
We're just asking if, as you come in, could you please mute your microphones? We'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
We'd love to see your faces. You can switch your cameras on if you're comfortable like that. But if not, don't worry. If you're shy, you can switch it off. That's fine. Q.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to True Temperance International's weekly program, The Family Health Show. My name is Q, as you heard from Sharon, or Mobani, if you will, and my co-host is Sharon Wallace. The Family Health Show is a place where we empower and educate and enrich one another to live healthier and more abundant lives. So while we're doing that, we still are a show and not a replacement for sound medical counsel. And so I'm just going to ask you to listen to the following disclaimer. Sharon, over to you.
Okay, if you just bear with me as I screen share. Just there we go. So you can see what I'm reading. In case I get it wrong, you never know. Okay, hopefully we should be up. Yep, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, here we go then. So, only a physician can diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illnesses or disease. Any information that we disclose or discuss at the TTI2 Zoom talk show are for educational and informational purposes only. Please do continue to seek advice from your professional medical advice. Continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner regarding any illnesses or diseases that you may be suffering from. You see, that's why we need it on the screen.
Oh, yeah. All righty. Thank you very much, Sharon. Now, as one of our council members, Jason, loves to say, health isn't everything, but without health, everything is nothing. And that's hence our motto, health is wealth. Before we proceed with today's proceedings, I just want to invite you all to join us on our social media platforms. We are live on our social media. You can find us. We have WhatsApp groups for men and for women. We've made a separation there, obviously, for discretion purposes, where we can have a little more interactive conversation. And
So
not just for WhatsApp.
Can we just say it's Telegram now?
Oh, yes, and Telegram as well. So not just WhatsApp, but Telegram as well. But the Telegram group is predominantly, is only for the ladies, rather. Currently only for the ladies. The gentleman's Telegram will be up. And also our YouTube channel. So some of you may be watching on YouTube and some of you may be catching us on Zoom. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Press that subscribe button. Press that like button. And also play ding dong ditch with that little bell so you can get notifications every time we upload a program. Don't worry, we won't spam you. We upload only once a week or so, and it's always going to be something that's going to enrich you, even if it's more than once a week. Alrighty, now that we have those formalities out of the way, let's get into the day's program.
Before that, we also have the spiritual group on spiritual health on Telegram.
Oh, yes.
And the links are going in there in the chat for the men's and the women's Telegram and spiritual health group. So look out for the links and you will see them.
Please just look out for the links on the chat.
That's right. So each week, if you're new on this platform, welcome so much. We just love to see our TTI. TTI stands for True Temperance International. We just love to see our family grow. And so you are more than welcome. And please share the links so that your friends and family can also gain the blessings of this health information that we just so love to share with you. Every week, at the end of the presentation, we set a challenge. And last week, we had 3 lovely guys share with us practical demonstrations of things that you can do. So if you missed it, you can go back on YouTube, type in True Temperance International, and you will see last week's presentation, which was fantastic. And one of our presenters, in fact, we had 2 challenges set. One of our presenters was Q, and he's going to ask you how you got on. But the other challenge was from Alvin, and it was to do with if you could tell us the properties and the benefits of the various items he had on the table, which was onion, garlic, basil, rosemary, thyme, and was it oregano?
Oregano, yes.
I think it was. And
Oregano.
Alvin offered, I think it was the first person who came in with the answers. Don't unmute yet. He offered a prize. But let's see how you got on with the challenge that Q set. That one was tough, I thought it was easy, but it wasn't.
Okay, everyone. Last week's challenge was a bit of a zinger, but it's definitely going to have some positive results. I know I'll hear some good things today. Last week's challenge was add a little bit of cayenne pepper to your lemon water in the morning. We discussed some of the benefits of cayenne pepper, and we went into the chemicals in it, capsaicin, and all the other things that it would do in the body. And we said, just add a pinch of cayenne pepper. You could start with a 1/4 teaspoon, and then you can work your way up. If you feel you can take that, and take as much as 1/2 a teaspoon of cayenne pepper with your lemon water in the morning. And did anyone follow through with the challenge? Please let us know, and what the effect was. How did you feel immediately after? Notwithstanding the little sting in the mouth, how did that go? You're welcome to unmute right now and let us know.
Yes, I actually usually have lemon water in the morning anyway, in warm water, lemon and warm water. And I added the cayenne pepper, and I find that straight away my saliva seems to go thicker. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. So yeah, my saliva went like very thick, and I can feel the heat in my stomach. But also I have diabetes, and I noticed that it has lowered, my hypertension. It has lowered my hypertension a bit. So yes.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you for that. Yes, what you were feeling, the sensation you were feeling was that kind. Remember, we said it rushes all the way from the mouth even before it gets to your gut. But the health benefit was that, as we discussed, one of the benefits last week was you will see a lowering of your hypertension, your blood pressure, to a healthier level. But thank you for that testimony.
That's great, Marlene. Did anybody else try the challenge? You might have tried it with the orange juice, because I think that helps a bit.
I tried it. Well, not that I tried it. I have been doing it for some time now, so it was not much of a challenge for me. So I think I'll be still qualify for whatever your gift is.
But thank you, Anthony. Thank you for doing that. And I'm sure you're enjoying some benefits since you started taking it way back when. What have you noticed that might have changed in your health since incorporating the cayenne pepper?
I've been thinking about it and to see what I could report on it. I've been doing it for nearly maybe about 8 months now. I've been doing it consistently. But I don't know. I'm a vegetarian for quite a while now, for over 20 years. So I don't know if I can identify any particular benefit. But I know it is beneficial, so I've been doing it. But I don't think I can put my finger on one and say, this is what I've, experienced since then. I'm not sure.
All right. Anthony, did I hear you correctly? Did you say you haven't been sick for 20 years?
Well, I've been a vegetarian since then. I've been a vegetarian for approximately 26 years. So I've been, doing different things, trying different things over the many years. So as I said, I'm not able to pinpoint a particular benefit. I know I'm deriving benefit from it, but I cannot put my finger on one to say this is what I've experienced since then. I don't
Awesome.
know if that makes sense.
Anthony, I'm hoping one day I'll say I've been a vegetarian for 26 years. I'm hoping that I'll get to that many. It's a few now, but I'm hoping I get there.
Okay, no problem, Brad.
Thank you.
Somebody else?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary. I did the challenge as well this week. I'm from London.
Oh, sorry, Mary, where are you calling in from? We forgot
From
to ask
Essex.
that. From Essex. Lovely. Lovely to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. I tried the challenge as well. And I think the most benefit I saw was that I didn't feel hungry. I was actually having to remind myself about 10 a.m. to say, oh, I haven't had breakfast. So I think that was something different for me for the whole week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. You remember one of the benefits we discussed last week was that you'd feel a suppression of appetite. And there you have it. So if you're someone perhaps who needs to just manage the calorie intake, the cayenne pepper is something to incorporate in your morning water.
Okay, I could share my experience. Always drama. So I asked Edgar, my husband, to make some up for me, and I tried it with the orange juice first. And we forgot the quantities, so I just said, just add some. The turmeric, how much did you add? Half a tablespoon?
Tablespoon.
A tablespoon, okay. And then as for the cayenne pepper, how much of that did you put in?
Half a teaspoon.
Listen, okay, do not follow our example, okay? He used half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and a tablespoon of turmeric and some orange juice. Boy, that was hard. I finished it, but it took a long time. Okay, the turmeric really thickened it up, but I watched the video as I was recommending others to do to get the quantities right, then realized it was only the water, the lemon water and the turmeric. So then I attempted it the next day with 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and it was hot. It was really hot. I thought, I can't do that. I've got it. And I remembered you said if it's too hot, lessen the amount, go with 1/8. So I didn't do it for the whole week, but I did do it a few days, and I did it this morning with 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And what I did to help was also to eat a satsuma straight afterwards, just to help the throat. But yeah, it went down fine. It went down fine, and I did feel the rush inside my tummy. I felt it.
Ooh.
I felt it. Yeah, I felt it just hot, but it wasn't a bad hot. It was a nice hot. So yeah. So thank you for that challenge. And my circulation, my hands are fine. No cold fingertips. So you've had some cold mornings this week, but it's been good.
Oh, well, look, congratulations on taking the first drink, because that was a lot of quantities right there. And turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, so I don't know if you're meant to take it in those quantities, but I'm sure it did do some good in your body as well. It's a good anti-inflammatory. You're muted, Sharon.
I was just saying, I don't think so too. So please don't go back and just
Please don't take a whole tablespoon off it.
No. Go with the recommendation. So for the turmeric, when you did that little orange shot, that was, how much turmeric did you use for that?
So I used about 1/4 teaspoon, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, but very little. Then I used of turmeric. I used an equal amount of cayenne, but remember, I've been doing it for a few days, or for a while, so I'm kind of used to the heat of the cayenne. But you do kind of need to manage those.
And that was with 100 mils of orange juice. I remember that, just under half a cup.
That's it. That was it. Quick energy boost, a quick rush as well, just to, a little pep in my step, and that was it. It's a good little drink to start with, and you're good. That's obviously not your morning drink. When you start in your morning, you are doing well to do with the lemon water. You do want that lemon water. You do want to get that warm water in your system in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, so if we have, we'll have time for maybe one more testimonial, if there is any.
Yes, I actually had it, and
Who's this?
basically this is Hallie,
Where are you calling from, Hallie?
London.
You're zooming in from London. Welcome, Hallie.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been taking it for the last 5 days, and really it has been helping my stomach, because sometimes I tend to have some stomach issues, and when I took it, it was really helping. So I continued. So I found it quite good. I didn't find it too hot though. You know, it was really good to have, and I like the taste of it too.
Thank you for that, Harley, and congratulations on the improvement there on the stomach. I'm glad that was able to help, and just continue taking, measured amounts like that, and that certainly should be something that's always going to benefit you in health, obviously with temperance, of course.
Hi, Sharon.
Is that Paula?
Yes, it's me.
Hi, Paula.
Hi. I have been taking Kind for a long time with lemon water, but what Kind does to me, it make my nose run a lot.
Okay. So that's releasing the mucus from your system.
Mm-hmm. So is that good?
It is going to do that.
If
That's
the
your
mucus
body
is in, it's better to come out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better out than in, so that's fine. Somebody put in the chat, how long should we do this for? The challenge was just for 1 week, but taking the shot, which would be with 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and I thought you said 1/8 of cayenne pepper with the glass of orange juice. You were saying that we could do that every day if we wanted, wasn't you?
Yes, I was saying so. An 1/8, because that's a slightly more measured amount. But I go with 1/4. But again, remember, I've kind of my mouth is kind of acclimatized to the heat of the cayenne pepper. I don't go anywhere beyond 1/4 teaspoon. I just try and keep it there at 1/4. And but an 1/8, you can have that. You can have that regularly.
Yeah. And if you are doing it with hot water, bear in mind the hot water might make it a bit hotter. So I think that was possibly my mistake as well. Okay. I don't think we've had anybody say come up with the answers to Alvin's challenge, which was the health property and the benefits of. Sorry?
Because you said you were doing the cayenne pepper first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then we'll go for a quick one of that, and then we'll go into today's presentation. Okay. So, do we have anybody with an answer?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Foy, go on then. Go on then, Foy.
Okay,
so the first one.
We have the garlic. It's an excellent source of vitamin B6, pyridoxine. It's a good source of manganese, selenium, and vitamin C. It's a good source of other minerals like phosphorus, calcium, potassium, iron, and copper. It's an antioxidant that supports the body protect against oxidative damage. It has antibiotic properties. It's known to help reduce blood pressure. It improves cholesterol levels. It boosts the immunity. It detoxifies heavy metal in the body if you eat it. It gives you better hair and skin. So that's just some of the things about garlic. It also fights fungus. So it's easy. It's one of the easy foods to put in your diet, to put in your food, and it tastes delicious. Onions. It's nutrient dense, meaning that it's low in calorie but high in minerals and vitamins. It's high in vitamin C, vitamin B, including folate, which is B9, pyridoxine, which is B6, which plays a vital role in metabolism. It's good source of phosphorus. It has potent anti-inflammatory properties, which also helps to reduce high blood pressure and protects against blood clots. It's said to benefit your heart health. It contains cancer-fighting properties. It helps control blood pressure. It is said to boost bone density. There's a lot of things that onions, well, garlic first, and then now onions. It's rich in fiber and prebiotics, which are necessary for optimal gut health. It helps to fight bacteria. So that's onion. Moving on to thyme. Now thyme, when I looked it up, it comes from the Greek word thymos, which means courage. And I didn't know that. So that's one thing that I learned. It's packed with vitamin C. It's also a good source of vitamin A, which is very good for colds, stave off colds. It's a good source of copper, fiber, iron, manganese. It has antiseptic and antifungal properties, and that's why it is commonly used in mouthwash. It is also used it's a key ingredient in natural deodorants that we use, and it helps to boost the mood. Its antiseptic compound, which is found in thyme, is used to guard against wounds that we have, or infection, and it helps to speed up healing properties. It's also used as a sore throat remedy, can be used. You can also use it to encourage hair growth, and it helps against dandruff. I didn't know that one, I learned that one. Bay leaf, rich in vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. It promotes general health. It's useful in the treatment of migraines. It helps to lower your blood sugar levels and improve cholesterol levels. Oregano, which now is since I've done the research, oregano is my favorite out of all of them. It's excellent in vitamin E, K, manganese, iron, fiber, calcium, and something called tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is used in the body to help produce melatonin and serotonin, which helps the sleep-wake cycle. It also regulates appetite, sleep, your moods, and it also helps with pain. It's antispasmodic, it's antiviral, it aids digestion, which is what Alvin spoke about last week, helping to clean the parasites from the gut. It helps to prevent cell damage, so it's antioxidant. It can be used as a mouthwash. It's recommended as a remedy for sore throat, poor digestion, nausea, nasal congestion, cold sore, etc., etc. And then the last one, which was rosemary, it's rich source of antioxidant, anti-inflammatory compounds. It boosts the immune system. It helps blood circulation. It's considered a cognitive stimulant and helps to improve memory performance and quality. It is also antiseptic, antiviral. It facilitates digestion. It's a natural diuretic. It helps to relieve menstrual cramps for ladies. And it also boosts alertness. It helps with intelligence and focus. There you go, in a nutshell.
Bravo. Is that foul?
Foy.
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 Bravo, Foy.
That's a
You know,
big nutshell.
An A+ student. You're an A+ student. That was a stellar report back. She did her homework. I see
So
Dale.
Foy,
has his
if
hand up.
you, oh sorry.
Oh yeah,
I was just going to ask.
Sorry.
I was just going to ask if Foy, could you send me your email address in the chat privately, or you can send it to me on Telegram, because I think you've got mine. You've got me on WhatsApp. Yeah. If you send me that on WhatsApp, your email address, we will get the ebook, the cookbook that Alvin suggested to you, would be the prize. So well done. God be praised.
Thank you.
Okay, Dale, what was you going to say? You will take this as the last hand, and then we'll go into today's presentation.
Right. This was with regard to the cayenne and so forth. I know some people said it didn't burn much or so. But for this mixed here, because some people aren't aware, well, I only learned that there were different grades of cayenne. What is the recommended grade of cayenne when you're taking it for these medicinal purposes? And also to clear, because, you know, I learned, well, some past, that pepper irritates the mucous membranes in your body. That's pepper in general. So doesn't cayenne do the same thing?
So if you were, I don't know if you were there for last week's presentation, we did
No,
give,
I wasn't, sorry.
Oh, no problem. No worries, no worries. So what you have is most the peppers that don't belong to these to this group, the cayenne pepper, I beg your pardon, belongs to a group of peppers called the nightshade peppers. That includes jalapenos, serrano peppers, African bird peppers, that's what we usually identify as cayenne, and Mexican habaneros. Now, each one of those has a different degree of heat. And that heat is measured in what are called Scoville units. And the lower end, the paprika, for example, has 0 Scoville units. It's not hot at all. It's only got flavor. And so that, unfortunately, doesn't have the healing qualities, because the capsicum, or rather the capsaicin, which is the active ingredient, is what gives it that heat. And so generally the peppers that we would go with are, say, between 100,000 and 200,000 Scoville units. That's somewhere from the jalapeno peppers to the African bird peppers. If you can take the
scorpion pepper in the Caribbean.
Do they have those?
You have scorpion pepper in the Caribbean and Trinidad.
What? Scorpion.
They
that
call
name
it that. It's very hot. It's very hot. It's very hot, sir. That's all I can say. I don't eat it.
I think if there's a fruit called a scorpion, you might want to be careful there. But look, to be safe, I'd say serrano peppers and African bird peppers.
Sorry, Q,
yeah, we're not hearing. I thought it was my connection. I didn't hear anything. Yeah.
Goodness. Oh dear, I beg your pardon. I was saying, did you hear the bit I spoke about the different peppers?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I was saying, I think, so the peppers that have enough capsaicin, or a lot of it, but not so much that it's unpalatable, would be the serrano or the African bird peppers. So I would safely go for those. That's the sort of heat you'd want, between, say, about 80,000 to 200,000 of the Scoville units. So that's the heat measurement. You just ask you can just Google what the Scoville units of the pepper you want to get is, and you can just go with that. So the capsaicin is the hot ingredient, but it's also the active ingredient.
Yes.
So it's kind of like,
can I give this to my children? Like if my daughter is saying she hasn't belly cramp, can I give that to children? Of course, not the same amount in terms of the cayenne, but is it recommended for children at all?
Look, I have read cases where it was used for children, but I would be careful. I just would be very careful with children. I think I recommended a read last week, Curing with Cayenne. Maybe I'll just put the book again in the chat today, just to repeat that. And in there, you can sort of see the sort of scenarios where you could use it with children, because that book is very comprehensive in terms of what you can do with cayenne.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, I think we can move on to today's program, Sharon.
Yes, we can. So we will introduce our speaker for today.
I don't think he can work in the room because the device is gone.
Can you just mute, please? Thank you. Yeah, our speaker for today is Dr. Louisa Camozzo, and she will be she's no stranger on here, and she will be presenting on here the topic dealing with diabetes. So, Louisa, if you're ready, we are more than ready to have you on here now. Welcome, Louisa.
Thank you so much, Sharon, and thank you, Q Mobani, for that. I love cayenne pepper. When I was still practicing as an ordinary medical doctor, I remember one day I had acute gastritis and I thought I was dying. So I called my mom and I said, look, pass by the pharmacy and bring me my pills. You know, and she said, I don't have time for that. There's cayenne pepper in the cupboard. And I thought, this woman is trying to kill me, right? But I was in so much pain. I went and I mixed the cayenne pepper and I drank it. And I tell you, within a couple of seconds, the pain was gone. Now so it baffled my mind. Like somebody was asking about, but this is a pepper. Surely it's going to cause damage and irritate. And after a couple of hours, the pain came back. So I called her, I said, well, your cayenne pepper helped a little while, but now the pain is back. Clearly, bring me my pills. She said, but even with your pills, it says take them every 4 to 6 hours. So then I was like, oh, okay. So when I read up on it, but the difference was with the cayenne, it was actually healing my inside. So it's a wonderful thing. It's a great blood thinner. A lot of the patients that we have, if you know they've got clots, it's wonderful in that because it should not thin your blood beyond what it's supposed to be. But I think this was a great challenge for a lot of people. So thank you for that kind of challenge. And Faye or Fao, that was amazing what you just shared with everybody. I think you should send us that list so we can show the wonderful properties of all these wonderful things. Once again, greetings to everybody. It's been a while that I have been here. I think about you every Saturday, but sometimes I'm not able to join in. So it's good to be here. We've got a bit to share. So I'm gonna jump right into dealing with diabetes. Wait, before I jump in there, actually, it's always good to have a testimony. So I'm hoping Louise is on, so she can share a testimony on somebody she treated, and then I will get into the nitty-gritties of dealing with diabetes. Louise, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi, Doc.
Hi. Go on, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I've been working with a friend who's also a client of mine. She's a client, he's a friend. When you work with people who are friends and who are clients, sometimes you can get a little bit messy, but this guy was really good. And he came out of hospital. He went to hospital with COVID and he was really, really, really very ill. And of course, because of the restrictions, we were limited in what we could do for him. While he was in hospital, he discovered that he had diabetes and he had high blood pressure, and the COVID had taken a massive impact on his lungs. So we mixed him up a lung tonic and sent it in via his wife. We told her what to buy and everything. And he started using that. And the healing that started taking place on that was amazing. Anyway, when he came out of hospital, he called me. We were talking all the time while he was in hospital. And I was saying to him, listen, when you come out of hospital, you're going to have to deal with your diabetes and your high blood pressure. While he was in the hospital, he was put on insulin and he was given tablets for his diabetes. And I couldn't work out in my mind why they gave him insulin and tablets. But that's another story. So basically, I said to him, look, if you want to work with me, if you want me to work with you, you're going to have to do as I say, because I'm quite like that. So he said, yeah, whatever. So he came out of hospital and I said to him on the day he came out, you need to stop taking that insulin if you're ready to do this. So he said, yeah, I want to get off the insulin straight away. Now, I want to make sure that I get this really clear with people about insulin. I don't go around telling people to come off the insulin if they don't want to come off the insulin. That's not my job. He wanted to come off insulin, so we started him straight away with no insulin, and because he was already taking meds. So I said, okay, stay on your meds, come off the insulin, because he only just started taking insulin. So he came off his insulin, he kept on his medication, and we started using the 8 laws of health to start restoring his health by God's grace. We especially put into practice exercise. We especially put into practice the amount of food he ate, because we know when people are diabetic, they're being told to eat every couple of hours, small snacks, small this, small that. And I disagree. This is just me personally. I disagree with that kind of format. And so we got him down to eating 2 meals a day. And within 2 weeks, we started to see his sugar levels dropping really, really, really nicely. At the end of 2 weeks, I said to him, look, your sugar levels are dropping nicely. He was being monitored by the doctors and everything. They were noticing that his sugar levels were dropping nicely, but they weren't saying come off the meds. They were saying go back on the insulin. And he was saying, I'm not going back on insulin. And I was trying to explain to him, you know, if you keep taking the insulin, it takes over managing your pancreatic, releasing that insulin that you need. So he said, I'm not going back on insulin. So they said, okay, keep taking your 2 tablets, but we had got him into 1 tablet stage. So after 2 weeks, I said to him, are you ready to take the next step and go down to using half a tablet? So he said, half a tablet. And I'm like, look, friend, you're doing so great. God's natural 8 laws of health is working for you. You won't know if your body is doing what it's supposed to do unless you take the next step. So he said, okay, I'm just going to leave everything in God's hand. He prayed about it, and then he came back to me and he said, yeah, let's go to half a tablet. Anyway, we got him down to half a tablet for his insulin. But he's not on any high blood pressure medications anymore. From he came out of hospital, we were like, that's going out the window. So that went. His blood pressure normalized very nicely on his diet, he's exercising. And one of the things I need to say is that because of his lung being so damaged in terms of the COVID, we had to be very gentle with his exercising and stuff like that. And we were again encouraging to take the lung tonic that we had suggested that he took, which we told him how to make. Anyway, last week, his sugar level was down to like 5.6. And then just 2 days ago, he reported that his sugar level was now 5. Do you understand? So we were like, you can imagine, we were jumping and making a lot of noise, praising God. And then eventually I said to him, now what are we going to do about that half a tablet? Since then, he's spoken to his GP. They've been monitoring him, as I said. And his GP said to him 2 days ago, with the way things are going, you're going to be coming off medication soon. And I corrected her speech to him in my text, and I said, your GP's tongue slipped. What she should have said was that you will have to come off medication in Jesus' name. So we're just praising God for that. And we're saying to people, all these lifestyle diseases that people have can be reversed when you're doing it in the proper way and you're using God's natural way. And you're not just being foolish about coming off meds and stuff like that. We did this in a very controlled way. We used the 8 laws of health. We put him on a certain program. And now he's joined our detox program, which starts on the 28th of this month. And so just keep him in prayer and keep our ministry in prayer. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you so much, Louise. I saw that on her status, and I was very excited, and I just thought she had to share that with everyone, because people become encouraged when they see others. Now, what Louise really highlighted was, and I like that about you, Louise, I have an element of that. You have to do what I say, because if you're not going to change your lifestyle, you need to stay on your medication. Otherwise, it's going to put the work that we do in disrepute. What I hope to do with this presentation is a couple of things. I hope to show how the body was designed to work and where it has gone wrong. And often it has gone wrong because of the choices that we have made. And then after that, show how the 8 laws of health relate to ensuring that you are in a non-diabetic state, okay? And how when we break those laws, we end up with diabetes. And then literally, then I leave it up to you to choose what it is you want to do. If you would like to have diabetes, then by all means, you can continue to live the life that you're living. But for me, I found it very empowering coming from a family, both sides of the family having diabetes, to know that I am not going to be a victim to my genetics, but that I have a choice in the matter. So every day I'm making choices. So this is what we will be doing. Let me go through it. And then you can write your questions. I'm sure somebody will be monitoring the chat. And I hope you will be blessed by this presentation. So what is diabetes? It is not one disease. So no two people are the same. It is actually a group of diseases that result in too much sugar in the blood. So right now, if all of you were to take a prick of your blood, you'd be able to see what your sugar level is like, and you would know whether you are frankly diabetic, or you might have normal blood levels because you haven't eaten anything. That does not necessarily say you're not diabetic. It just means you fasted, okay? So there are other ways to check if you have diabetes. So it's a group of diseases results in too much sugar in your blood, so high blood sugar. All right, now this is a simplification of what diabetes is. The truth of the matter is, once you start dealing with diabetes, not everybody falls into these categories. And you will see, we had a patient, Louise, this week, and she was with us for 5 days, and her sugar just refused to go down. It just refused. The one time it went down to 9, the lady thought she was dying. She was feeling very faint because her system is just used to working at high levels. And, you know, I had to go deeper, and we had to go and study and say, what is going on? So that's why I say it is not with everybody, but she's willing to persist. And you will understand, I will share as to why her sugar was the way it was, because it's an individualized disease. But this is a simplification because people like to have types. There's pre-diabetes, type 1, type 2, and gestational, which is pregnancy related. Pre-diabetes means that you're intolerant to glucose when you take it in. The person will tend to have high blood sugar levels, but when you check their insulin levels are normal. And mostly these people have no symptoms. When you come to our center, because it's a lifestyle center, when we do your bloods, whether you were consulting for a headache or for COVID, we would run your blood sugar levels, but not for today, for over the past 3 months. Because your red blood cells live for 3 months and they're in the blood all the time, they're exposed to the sugar levels. So a record is left on your red blood cells as to what your sugar has been over the past 3 months. And this is important to do because I know I have patients that come to the practice and they make sure they fast in the morning so that their sugar looks nice. But then, you know, the day after they leave, they go and they eat their marshmallows. So I want to know for the first 3 months, what have you been doing? And the HbA1c test allows me to know that. It needs to be less than 5.7. So then if it's between 5.7 and 6.5, we would say that you're pre-diabetic, okay? So there tends to be at some points during time, high levels of sugar in your blood, but your insulin is normal and a person normally does not have any significant symptoms. Type 1 diabetes is what is called insulin dependent, where the pancreas generally does not secrete any. It tends to be classified for those who are very young when they get it, and they've said their pancreatic cells have been destroyed through an autoimmune condition. And there has been research that shows that use of milk, cow's milk, especially in children, can lead to type 1 diabetes. Okay, so that's a mental note. If you're a mother and you have kids and they're on milk and you're thinking they must wait till they're 18 to make their decisions about what they eat, that might be a bit late for them with regards to diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is what is called non-insulin dependent because generally the pancreas is able to produce enough insulin. In the morning, fasting insulin should be between about 2 and 10. I've seen people with insulin levels of 200, but their sugar level is still high. So they have enough insulin. You'll see what the relevance of insulin is. They have enough insulin, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. They have more than enough insulin, actually. And if you have high levels of insulin unnecessarily, it can actually cause damage to your kidneys. So these things need to be properly regulated, okay? So type 2 diabetes, the pancreas is making enough insulin, sometimes even too much insulin, but the body is resistant to it. Diabetes during pregnancy, there's a hormone that the placenta makes that causes insulin resistance in mothers, just so that mothers don't suffer from hypoglycemia. But sometimes it can overproduce in this state. These are the simplified type of diabetes. However, what some of the things that we've been seeing is that stress can cause diabetes, because you may have enough insulin, but if you're stressed, then you're releasing a hormone cortisol, which suppresses the function of insulin. Does that make sense? So a person can be on a very healthy diet. So it's important when you're dealing with a diabetic to ascertain whether they are stressed or not. Lack of exercise can actually induce diabetes, because the muscles do not become sensitive to insulin. So this very same lady, we took her for a walk up a steep hill. She had to work those muscles. When she came back, that's the same day that she felt like she was dying, and her blood sugar levels went down to 9.6, because from the exercise we had started. And the one thing she does not do, she's not physically active at home. So the sugar level dropped from 12 to 9, and she felt a bit faint, which was a normal blood sugar level. So this is another thing that can. But this is, I'm going to play a video so that you all have a picture of what's happening inside of you with regards to diabetes. I hope you'll be able to hear the sound and see.
We can't hear you, Dr. Louisa.
There's no
Can
sound.
you see the video?
Yes, but no sound.
Can't hear.
You have to activate the sound on your device.
I thought I had. It's fine. I will speak over it. I believe I will say better. All right, so this is just a video to explain diabetes, okay? Simplified. So this just meant, so when food comes into our stomach, it's made of 3 parts, okay? Food can be carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We're going to focus on carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, or what we call sugar, right? Now, these are some examples of carbohydrates: bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, bananas, milk, yogurt. What normally happens is when the sugar has been broken down, it travels into the blood, and then it's supposed to go into the cells, the muscle cells, the fat cells, the brain cells. But it needs a key to allow it to go in. And this is what insulin is. Insulin is a key that opens the cells and allows for sugar to move from out of the blood into the cells where it's needed for energy. So for a person who's not diabetic, this needs to be happening. Do you see how fluently it's happening? So this will keep your blood sugar levels constant and okay. But in a person who has diabetes, what happens is when the sugar is being broken down into the stomach, it gets into the blood, but either the pancreas is not making enough insulin, or the insulin is not working properly, so it's not able to allow the sugar to go inside of the cells. So then the sugar then accumulates in the blood, which is what we call diabetes, high blood sugar levels. And this is what you will see when you check yourself. Now, this is going to create several problems. Because the sugar cannot get inside of the cell, all right, you will feel tired, because then energy you need is supposed to be made inside of the cell. So the sugar is in the wrong place. Or because there's too much sugar in your blood, water will move from your cells into your blood, and therefore you will feel dehydrated. That's why diabetics are drinking so much water. Now, some of the complications of this is that can lead to blindness, liver problems, kidney problems as well. And these are some of the serious complications. A person can have blindness, I said, amputation, kidney failure, heart attack, and strokes. Now, this is not something that you want to have. Diabetes can be a very terrible chronic disease, but that is not necessary. That makes sense to everyone. So I wanted everybody to have that picture that sugar or glucose is important, but it is not needed in the blood. It is needed inside of your cell. Your brains need it, your liver needs it, your muscles need this. And if it's not getting inside, then you're going to have all these other complications because the sugar is in the wrong place. And that was diabetes simplified. But there are other things that can complicate diabetes. I want you to have a look at this. So we already said that if your pancreas, which is where insulin is made, and insulin allows sugar to move from the blood into the cells. So in diabetes, forget the type 2 diabetes, then insulin might not be enough, all right? The insulin in the pancreas is actually made in what we call beta cells. So some of these beta cells, they die. And I will explain some of the reasons why they die. I already said it could be from autoimmune disease, like from those who are drinking a lot of milk. Your own body defense system can actually destroy the beta cells. It's actually been said that by the time somebody is diagnosed with diabetes, with low insulin, they only have 20% of their beta cells still functioning. So it's important to keep the beta cell. When we diagnose people here at the center, we want to know the functionality of the beta cells, because that's far more important. If they're making a lot of insulin, that's a good thing. We know that there's a lot that we can do. We just need to make the body more sensitive to it. But when they're not making a lot of insulin, we know that there's a problem with the beta cells. And now listen to this. One of the things that damages the beta cells is high sugar levels in your blood. So the longer you have diabetes and you have uncontrolled diabetes, the more this high sugar is actually damaging these beta cells. So it's important that as soon as possible, we get the blood sugar levels low so that the beta cells are not influenced anymore. I will go the other way. If you have increasing fatty acids in the body, all right, when you have high fat, and even when you're just obese, this is going to cause, can lead to diabetes. Muscles that are resistant to insulin, all right? So remember, insulin needs to go inside of the muscles where it's needed. So if the insulin does not work, and this could be from lack of a mineral called chromium, or there could just be a problem with how insulin is made. It's a complex process. I wanted to teach how insulin is made by the body, but I thought that's not even necessary. It requires 67 amino acids. It's such a complicated process that we need to make sure that we do our part so that the body is able to do all these complex things that it's needed. So insulin resistance, these are the people you will find they have enough insulin, but the body is just not responsive to it. So it's not able to move the sugar from the blood into the cells. One of the things that we've also noticed, there are people who will tell you, when I wake up in the morning, my sugar is higher than when I went to sleep at night. And that's because one of the functions of the liver is to maintain blood sugar levels. So it could be that your liver, when these people fast, their blood sugar levels go up. This is the patient that we had right now. And I'm saying this especially for other people like Louise who are treating, so that when you start seeing these things, you don't become discouraged. And you at home, when you start doing this and you see your blood sugar levels going up, don't despair. Okay, you need to understand the complete picture. So the liver, in the absence of you eating, can actually make glucose and release it into the blood, because the liver is also a storage for glucose. It stores it in a form of glycogen. Now, this is one of the things that I recently learned that I found very fascinating. When we eat food, before the sugar actually gets into the blood, once the food gets into the stomach, if you eat sufficiently, that's why a high fiber diet, listen, if you remember nothing else, remember this, a high fiber diet is very important for a diabetic, because a high fiber diet allows for your stomach to get full and causes distension, right? Then this is communicated to your pancreas before even the sugar gets into your blood to start the process of releasing insulin. I will say that again. When you eat a meal, let's say what we serve for lunch today, when you eat a meal of green salad, some raw carrots, and then we serve pasta, which is whole wheat, with some soya bean, so that's a bean. So when you eat all of that and you eat a meal that is filling, what's going to happen is your stomach is going to distend, and it's going to send information that food is coming. And this is going to cause your gut cells to release chemicals called incretins, which then tell your pancreas, start releasing insulin, all right? And then also incretins will be released when the sugar is broken down, when it arrives in the small intestine before it gets into the blood, to encourage the pancreas to release insulin, so that you don't stay, after eating, you don't have very high blood sugar levels that's going to damage the beta cells. And I like to say this because we need to understand how amazingly our body is designed, that everything was thought of before to make sure that we don't get sick. That's why a high fiber diet and eating 2 meals. So when diabetics eat 6 small meals, they tend to eat smaller meals, which means you don't get that your stomach enlarging. And it also means those meals generally are not high fiber, because high fiber meals keep you full for 4 to 6 hours. So then it means that they are not releasing incretins. And you will see there, if your incretin release effect is impaired, then you're likely to end up with diabetes. Does that make sense? So their eating schedule actually makes the condition worse, because they get rid of this important thing. You will see it in the next slide. It's a beautiful thing. Incretins, these are chemicals, like I said, that are made by your gut. When you eat a sufficient meal that is high in fiber, they reduce appetite, they reduce your food intake, which can lead to weight loss. Remember, weight loss means you are more sensitive to insulin. Incretins also help to increase sensitivity to insulin. They improve beta cell function. Actually, it's been shown that they protect them. They increase insulin secretion. Remember, the more insulin you have, as long as your body is sensitive to it, the faster the sugar will move from the blood into the cells where they are needed. And therefore, what you will see, the HbA1c, you will have your HbA1c low, which is your sugar over a period of 3 months. Your fasting glucose, meaning in the morning when you wake up, your sugar levels will be low, and your sugar levels immediately after a meal will be low. So if you want to know whether you don't have this incretin effect, what you will do is you will have a meal that is loaded with carbohydrates, even the healthy ones, and then immediately check your sugar levels. If your sugar levels are high, but then they come back down, you must know that yes, you're making enough insulin, but you don't have this incretin effect. In time, you will end up with diabetes, because that high sugar level is going to damage your beta cells, all right? At this point, I need to say, for those of you who are watching the show, do what we recommend that you do, because eventually you will understand the reason behind it. Otherwise, do your research. And to show, there's an article I wanted to show. I'm going to jump to it so that you don't, I'm not making this up. A plant-based meal stimulates incretin and insulin secretion more than an energy and macronutrient standard meal. So they gave some people a vegan meal and they gave others a meat-based meal. And it was shown that a plant-based meal stimulates the secretion of both incretins and of insulin. So the incretins will protect your beta cells and the insulin will make sure that you have normal blood sugar levels. So that's another thing to remember. High fiber diet, but your high fiber diet, ensure that it's a plant-based meal that you're on as we go back. So for those of you who are, I still see some people are joining us today, we're talking about dealing with diabetes, which is a combination, it's a group of different diseases where ultimately you end up with high blood sugar levels, okay? And that can be damaging because it means you don't have sugar in your brain cells, sugar in your muscle cells, so you don't have energy. It can cause damage to a lot of your organs. That's why you see the complications such as strokes and amputation. And this is very sad because it can be reversed. Now, I'm saying this as a medical doctor. I was trained to believe that diabetes is a chronic disease that cannot be treated. It can be managed. But I have seen in the past 6 years of practicing lifestyle medicine that it can be reversed. But you need to make sure that your beta cells are still functioning, even if it's 20% of them are still functioning. It's important. We have seen some people where by the time they come to us, really they're making, even after a meal, their insulin levels are like 2, which is insufficient to do anything. And you cannot live on a diet without carbohydrates. So please ensure that you make the lifestyle changes today, even if you don't have diabetes, because this is one disease you do not want to apply for. All right, so what are some of the symptoms of diabetes? Increased thirst, and we understand why, because the cells are dehydrated because they are releasing their water into the blood to try and dilute the blood sugar levels. Frequent urination, why? Because the same thing, you're trying to get rid of, the body is trying to get rid of the excess water. You see how our body is always trying to deal with the consequences of our choices to save us. You'll have hunger even after eating. This woman was telling me that every 2 hours I must eat. Why? Because the sugar was not getting into her cells, but also she was not eating healthy food. All right, she was eating a lot of refined starches, and therefore that's not substantial. She was not getting the high fiber, the minerals that she needed. She was fatigued, you understand, because as I said before, because the sugar is not getting into the cell where it is needed. Then you can also get blurred vision because high sugar level is going to damage your eyes. But then again, in some cases, there may be no symptoms, especially for those with pre-diabetes and those with pregnancy-induced diabetes. How is this diagnosed? One of my favorite tests is the HbA1c, as I said, because it gives us a record over the past 3 months of what your sugar has been like, because your red blood cells are exposed, they are swimming in blood all the time. So they keep a record of, look, this month, these 3 months, the sugar level was just too high. So if you are able and you can do this test, please, by all means, go ahead. If your HbA1c is less than 5.7%, that is normal. If the level is between 5.7 and 6.4%, you are pre-diabetic, and levels above 6.5%, you are diabetic, okay? Because your sugar level has just been too high. There is an oral glucose tolerance test that you can do. You would need to go to the lab for this. They will give you a glucose solution to drink, and then they will check your blood sugar levels afterwards. And that's to check how your body responds to high sugar intake, if it's able to deal with it immediately. If your sugar levels remain high after 2 hours, like at levels greater than 11, then you're definitely diabetic, okay? All right, moving along. That's just pretty much the same, how you would diagnose whether you're normal, you're pre-diabetic, or you're diabetic. When you're normal, you want to maintain, you don't want to become diabetic. If you're pre-diabetic, it becomes easier to reverse. If you're diabetic, you need to keep at this program so that you can reverse the diabetes. Now, can it be controlled or can it be reversed? We've heard of some good testimonies. What you ultimately want to do is you want to reduce the sugar levels in blood, because that causes damage. It causes damage to the nerves, it causes damage to the blood vessels, it causes damage to the heart, it causes damage to the kidneys. So you can end up with amputations. So we want to reduce the sugar levels, okay? But remember that the sugar levers are a symptoms. They are telling us that things are not fixed. So the sugar levels will be giving us an indication of, are we winning or are we not? So it's important to check that regularly. We also want to ensure production of all necessary hormones. So you want to make sure that your body is able to make insulin. Insulin is the only hormone that allows for movement of sugar from your blood into the cell. So it's important, and it is only produced by your beta cells. So it is very important that you keep your pancreas working. You don't want to lose your beta cells because you have no other way of getting sugar from your blood into the cells. So we want to make sure that you're releasing insulin, but we want to make sure that you're releasing those incretins that encourage insulin to be released, and you're making those incretins that protect your beta cells as well. And then you also want to make your cells more sensitive to insulin, because there's no point you're making the incretins and you're making the insulin, but then your muscles do not respond to it. So if you have normal cells and normal organs, you have a good chance of reversing diabetes. So if you don't have digestive issues, you don't have pancreatic issues, there's a very good chance that you can reverse diabetes. If the cells and the organs are damaged, what you can then do with the lifestyle change, don't say, oh, well, I'm no longer making insulin. My pancreas is pretty much broken. What you want to do is you want to limit the complications of diabetes, because just because you're diagnosed with diabetes and they say it's type 1, what you want to do now is you want to prevent yourself going blind, getting amputated, getting kidney disease. So a lifestyle change is still good for those with beta cells that are damaged. I've already spoken about the complications. You see, it affects every single part of your body. For me as a medical doctor, I think diabetes is one of the worst conditions ever, but I am glad that there is a way that it can be reversed, because you see what it does to your brain and your heart, your extremities, your sensation, and kidney failure. Then you move to dialysis. Really, let's not even get to that state. So now let's go into the good news of what we can do about it. This is for everybody, whether you're not diabetic, whether you're pre-diabetic, or whether you're recently diagnosed full-blown diabetic, or whether you've had diabetes for 40 years. This is something that you can do, and it will only take you from where you are to a higher level of health. So what can you do? Lifestyle changes, absolutely the foundation of it. There are supplements that you can use, there are herbs that you can use, and there are natural treatments that a person can use. Lifestyle changes, nutrition, as I said, a high fiber diet. It's important. There are studies that show that a meal eaten in the morning, the same meal can cause diabetes if it's eaten late in the evening. So it's not a matter of what you eat, it's also when you eat it. That's very important for diabetics. You should not be eating after sundown, okay? I think we do a study, we've done lectures on the circadian rhythm, and I think we mentioned this. You can go have a look on our YouTube page, and you can watch that for more information. So a high fiber diet, low glycemic index carbohydrates. So you want to have things in their natural state. So if you're going to have wheat, you want to make sure that it's whole wheat, unless of course you've got gluten intolerance. I will show some of the things you can have, like quinoa. So your nutrition is important. Vegetables, absolutely important. Exercise makes the cells of the body more sensitive to insulin. I'm telling you, it was beautiful that day to walk that woman. I really walked her up that little hill, and her muscles demanded glucose, and that's why her sugar levels went down. So exercise is absolutely critical. Drinking water is important because it will dilute the blood sugar level. Remember, if not, you're going to make your own cells give up their blood, and therefore you'll be dehydrated. So you'll feel you have a headache, you're feeling tired. So drinking water is important. Sunlight has been shown to improve the function of beta cells of the pancreas. So it's important that we spend time in the sun. We've never thought about this. Whenever we think of sunlight, we're thinking about vitamin D, and therefore we take our vitamin D supplements. But it's important to spend time in the sun, because there are things that your vitamin D supplements will not be able to do, like improving your beta cell function. So spend some time in the sun as well. Temperance: avoid foods and drinks that predispose to a diabetic state. So these are your fizzy drinks, you know, the white bread, the things that we like to eat, the junk food, you know. Getting fresh air. Reduced oxygen has been shown to increase insulin sensitivity. So it's important that we be out in the open, under a tree, with your mask off and just taking deep breaths, okay? Lack of sleep has been shown to cause an imbalance in hormones, because if you're not sleeping well, you'll tend to have high cortisol levels and low insulin, and insulin is necessary to control your blood sugar levels. And trust in God. You know, this woman, one of the things she said, she says, she saw a 15-year-old die from having diabetes. And growing up, she was always told her grandmother had it, this person had it, and everybody who had it died. So one of her greatest fears in life was getting diabetes. And guess what happened to her? Because she was always thinking about it, always scared about it, and living a terrible lifestyle, all that came together, and she ended up with the one thing she was afraid of. And then what happened? She was afraid that she was going to die and leave her children. So fear and anxiety were a constant part of her life. So one of the things that we did when she came to the center was we put her on a tea to get rid of the cortisol. And the more we spoke to her about it, and the more we had devotions and just talking to her about her relationship with God. She left this morning, and this morning she was saying to me, "No, doctor, I don't get so scared anymore. Even the pain that I used to have under my breast on the left side is gone." So it's important to not be stressing about things, because you will release cortisol, which will suppress the immune system. So this is how the lifestyle change is important. This is a foundation. This is absolutely critical, because it works with your body. And this is where we have a choice. We don't control everything else that happens, but we control these elements. What we eat, whether we exercise or we stay in bed, whether we drink water or we drink a fizzy drink, whether we spend time in the sun or we want to be yellow bones and we stay indoors, whether we're going to be temperate and avoid certain things, whether we're going to breathe and remember to take deep breaths, whether we sleep on time or we're burning the midnight candle because we want to be super rich, we should not be, using up our health. One of the biggest concerns I have are shift workers. So if you're a shift worker, we need to have a separate conversation about how you deal with the fact that at night when you're supposed to be sleeping, you're at work and you're probably stressed, so that we can mitigate against the effect of your job on your health. And also trusting in God is important. I already alluded to this. Please take a picture, go and read the article if you want to, and do more research about incretins. I think this was one of the things that was eye-opening, because she said she eats small meals, she doesn't get full, she's always hungry. And this was one of the things, she wasn't making this. And one of the things that happened when we put her on a plant-based diet, whole meals, she wasn't getting hungry. This is a woman who would get up at midnight to eat something because she was hungry. But that was gone, because incretins allow for a satiety value, that feeling of being full and satisfied. All right, so just going more into nutrition, what you want to do is avoid, but I will be kind and say limit for those who are transitioning, animal products, milk, meat, including chicken and fish. Often when we say animal products, people somehow chicken and fish don't fall into that. Yes, they will have the same effect. You want to limit or avoid junk food, fatty, fried, and processed foods, caffeine, soft drinks, alcohol, tea, and milk. You want to avoid milk, especially in your children, okay? You don't want to be mixing fruits and vegetables together. Eat fruits at one meal and vegetables at another meal. You don't want to be snacking. Remember, when you're snacking, you are affecting your incretins. So you don't want to be doing that, and you're overworking your system. Don't overeat. So eat until you're satisfied. You feel you can take one more spoon, but then you stop right there. You want to avoid white table salt, You want to avoid eating and drinking at the same time. So you will drink your whatever it is you're drinking, your water or your herbal teas 30 minutes before a meal, and then 2 hours after a meal. What you want plenty of, I cannot highlight it enough, vegetables, your raw vegetables. You want to be eating those. And your fruits. If you're already diabetic with high sugar levels, you may need somebody to guide you with that. For a little while, you may have to go easy on the fruits until we can get your blood sugar levels controlled, if it's very high. You would want to add some seeds. You see the different seeds grinded. Use genuine sea salt or pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt if you have access to that. Use turmeric and ginger and garlic in your food. Faye gave us a wonderful description of what garlic does in your body. Green juices are amazing. A green smoothie blend. And I think this will be a challenge for this week. Okay, for you to do a green smoothie. I like green smoothies as opposed to green juices because I like to have the fiber with it. So you can use spinach or kale with cucumber and a little bit of a green apple. Add some ginger to it and water, and make that smoothie and drink it every morning. You know, because you will get the phytochemicals. That's the green color in there. And ensure that your meals have something raw. For all of us, 51% raw. You might need more, but minimum 51%. These are just some suggestions for salads. Take a screenshot. Raw salads, because people are like, I can't be eating a green salad every day with lettuce and all of that. These are suggestions. I love to make sauerkraut and add it to everything to get the good bacteria. And these are some ideas for salad dressings that you can put to make sure that your salad is nice. Because remember, you want a high fiber diet. This is to help to make sure that you put that into your body. All right, I hope everybody has a screenshot as we move along. These are the whole grains that you would want to have. Quinoa is technically not a grain, but a seed. So it's wonderful. So is buckwheat and bulgur wheat. I see that somehow I did not put them there. Then oats and sorghum. You know, I'm down here in Zululand. Hello to everybody in KZN. But they love their maize. And not so much the sorghum, which is the amabele, or they call it the brown pap. But that is wonderful for people with diabetes. You know, so you see the yellow maize is more down at the bottom, because maize is a staple food in South Africa. And a lot of people then tend to eat white maize, which is just terrible, because 80% of the white maize in South Africa is genetically modified anyway. So you don't want to be on white maize. You want to switch to the yellow maize if you're going to have your brown rice and red rice. And right at the bottom is your wheat, your whole wheat pasta and the whole wheat couscous and the like. This is a cleansing program we normally do for people. You can do a DIY where you would just drink your water in the morning, be on a colon cleanser. This is not even a cleansing program. For some of us, this is our daily lifestyle. That light supper at 7 p.m. is not for diabetics. Absolutely not. I always say to my diabetic patients, until your blood sugar levels are controlled, you will be on 2 meals a day as opposed to 3. So at that time, they may drink a tea, a herbal tea, or just drink water until their blood sugar level has been controlled and their HbA1c is within normal. But take a screenshot if you haven't started a healthy lifestyle. If you're a person who just kind of needs structure, I find that this helps a lot of the people that I deal with, to just give them structure in their life about how to live a healthy lifestyle. You will see that even the times for your drinking of your herbal teas before and after meals are included. This digestive walk is very important, but you must also include exercise. So going for a walk, a long, intense walk, or just going up a steep hill, or doing strength training, because that increases your body's response to insulin. These are some of the supplements that a diabetic would need. When I tend to eat a lot of carbohydrates, I just take them. Chromium especially, alpha lipoic acid, vitamin B1. Cinnamon is great. I use cinnamon. We use cinnamon a lot when we're cooking for diabetics. We put it in the yellow maize all the time, in the drinks. Magnesium, probiotics, CoQ10, vitamin D, zinc, and vitamin C. So all of these are important in one way or another, whether you get them in your food, but if you have diabetes or you're pre-diabetic, it would be good to help your body. Take a screenshot. Some of the herbs, fenugreek, very disgusting to drink, but wonderful in helping to reduce blood sugar levels. Psyllium husk, you can add that to your cereals. It has no taste. It just increases your fiber content. And remember, you want to do that. Aloe vera, some ginger, turmeric, ginseng, okra, which is something we've just planted in our garden. So you want to, if you are diabetic, just start a garden. That's exercising, spending time in the sun, increasing your beta cell function, and growing your food, and food that's going to be medicine. Ashwagandha for me is a must for anybody with diabetes, because the cortisol level is going to suppress the little insulin that you might have. Remember, ashwagandha, it lowers the stress hormone cortisol. And milk thistle will support liver function, because a fatty liver or a dysfunctional liver will also contribute, as you saw in the slide before. One of the therapies, I really encourage fasting once a week. Either you can go on a water fast, or you can just eat raw vegetables throughout that day, for those who are just not able to fast. Walking daily and muscle strengthening exercises, sunbathing, remember the beta cells are very important, and hydrotherapy. You know, there are different hydrotherapies, but I like the Epsom salt bath. It's detoxing, it's relaxing onto the body. That's another way of treating yourself. And I like to close with this. I'm a physician, I'm a scientist, but I always say that I'm a Christian physician. I believe in a God who's a great designer, who created the body. That's why the more I study the body, I'm like, whoa, Lord, you anticipated that and you put that system in place. So I wish above all things to all of you that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your spirit prospers. And that is the end of our presentation, and I will be taking questions from here on. I hand over to my hosts.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We really appreciate the council. That was a wonderful presentation. I'm sure everyone's been taking notes and screenshots. So we're going to now open up the floor to a few questions for Dr. Louisa Homotso-Mohapi. So if you have a question, please just raise your hand and we'll take it.
Before you ask your questions, however, just reminding you of the disclaimer. If you are currently with taking medication or with a medical practitioner, remember to seek their advice. And also, if you do have a question and it's of a personal nature, i.e. specific to you, please can you contact Dr. Louisa or one of the team separately. But if it's a general question, by all means, but we're not doing personal consultations on this platform. I hope you understand why. Thank you. Okay, and we do have some questions in the chat as well. Some of them have been dealt with, but I'll look at those while we take the first hand queue. Q, I believe you're muted. We can't hear you.
All right, I beg your pardon. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. If there are any questions out there, you're welcome to raise your hand and ask your question, Dr. Mohapi.
I see Ben is raising his hand on the screen. So I think he can go ahead.
Okay,
Hi,
go ahead,
Dr.
Ben.
Hi, Dr. Lewis. Thank you very much for that nice presentation. My question is that I eat chicken a lot, but I eat chicken to to try and avoid eating red meat. Apart from red meat, what other meats should I try to avoid?
Thank you for that. As I said, you know, we really should have a presentation on the pros and cons of meat eating, but with a plant-based diet has been shown to be superior in terms of assisting your body, as I showed in the study. So if what you're asking me is how much meat can you eat, I would say really start cutting down and start having more of a plant-based diet. If you're diabetic, I would say you need to come off meat, unless you tell me the reason I'm eating chicken is because I want to make sure I have proteins. But remember that we don't need proteins. We need amino acids so we can build our own proteins, and the body is able to do that when you're on a balanced plant-based diet. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Red meat has its dangers, chicken has its dangers, and so does eating fish. And for diabetics, and especially diabetics who already have kidney failure, with kidney failure, you cannot afford to be eating any kind of meat, because that clogs up your kidneys and reduces your filtration rate. So I highly recommend just go on a 10-day plant-based diet and let me know how that goes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there was a question in the chat with regard to the last two slides. A few people were very interested in the last two slides and missed it. So is it possible to put those back up again, please, Dr. Louisa?
All right.
And whilst you're doing that, someone was asking about the challenge. I have put the ingredients back in there in the chat. But the challenge that was set for us was to have green smoothies. I'm not sure on the frequency, if it's going to be every day or every other day, or as a meal replacement. Perhaps you can clarify that with us, but it was to have a suggestion was kale, spinach, cucumber, ginger, green apple, and water. Obviously, if you're having ginger, you're not going to need more than two. Well, it depends on how much you're making, but if it's for one person, 1.5 centimeters piece of ginger is quite sufficient. Possibly a handful of kale, a handful of spinach, maybe 1/4 of a cucumber, and a whole green apple with some water. That's a suggestion.
Thank you so much for that, Sharon. I'm not very good with amounts, you know, because even when I cook, I just hoy everything together. But yeah, those are good suggestions. I would recommend that you do that for every day for the next 7 days. Obviously, if you have kidney problems, if you've been diagnosed to have kidney failure, and especially if you're on dialysis, you might not want to do that because that would contain too much potassium. There might be too much potassium for your body to deal with. And also, if you are on any blood thinning medication, you don't want to be on a green smoothie because that will cause your blood to be thinner than you need to be. So you need to consult with your doctor. When we do say that you need to consult with your doctor if you're a diabetic, remember that you're going to get a different school of thought. You will be told to eat 6 meals a day. It will be recommended that you have chicken that is lean. What we're saying to you is with regards to what also Louise was saying, if you put this into place, you need to be able to consult with your doctor on monitoring your blood sugar levels. Does that make sense? So don't just go AWOL and be by yourself. That's why it's important to have the right tools at home. Get a blood sugar machine so that you can check your sugar in the morning, and you can check your sugar before meals. So if your sugar is 20 before a meal, you need to know that you can't eat pasta. It's going to raise up higher. So you may want to have a bowl of green salad. And then when you've been doing that for a while and you start to see that your blood sugar level is going down, Then you go to your doctor for a review and you say you've made some lifestyle changes. You would like for him to review your medication and to check how things are doing, so that you don't continue. I've seen patients who do the lifestyle changes, but they don't adjust their insulin, and therefore they suffer from hypoglycemia, where the sugar becomes too low. So it's important to be monitoring that. So I don't know, Q and Sharon, if there are any other questions. I've put up the slides.
I see Just Me has
supplemental
their hand up. Just Me. Whoever Just Me is, you've got your hand up. You can unmute and ask your question. Just you, whoever it is.
However, just before Just Me, just going back to the previous question about this smoothie, people have been asking, could they use coconut water? And I said, yes, that's fine. Another person said, would it be a replacement for a meal? Now, if you get a bit hungry, what I would do, and have done many times, is to use like half a ripe avocado, so it's more of a thickie than a smoothie. You can add that in. That will help to bulk with your fiber and help with having healthy oils in your food and satisfaction. But it has to be a ripe avocado, not a hard one. Otherwise, it won't taste good and it won't be good. It won't smooth up that, blend that well. But yes, Just Me. Before you ask, can you just tell us where you're from? It would be lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, you could call me Jean, and I'm from London.
Hi, Jean. Thank you.
All right. What I wanted to ask was, apart from water, if one's blood sugar was high and they wanted to reduce it, what things can you, I mean, if we're not talking about like on a program, just say you just needed to reduce your blood sugar quite quickly, and you wanted to stay within a natural remedy program. What things can you use to bring down your blood sugar quickly, apart from water? I know water will do that.
All right. No, that's a beautiful question, Jean. I completely understand what you're saying. So you've just checked your blood sugar level. You found it to be high. One, you can go for a walk, okay? Because that's going to force your muscles to want to take up the sugar and reduce the insulin resistance. So going for a walk is absolutely, it's amazing. When you come back, you would want to make a tea with some fenugreek, some cinnamon. If you were stressed, maybe some ashwagandha, because that's also going to help with that, and take some chromium as well as a supplement to help the insulin that you have and make sure that things are facilitated inside of that. And you can also then check your blood pressure and do an Epsom salt bath, which is a detoxing bath. So those are the walk, but especially is the most important thing that you can do, and then take the tea after that.
Okay, and can I just ask, have you heard that if your blood sugar is really high and say you are on medication but you don't have any, and you want to bring your blood sugar down, and you're not able to go for a walk, and you're not able to really consume a lot of water, or you want to use water and other things, have you heard that you can use protein? If you're not a meat eater, you can have like a handful of almonds, and that would help to bring your blood sugar. Have you heard of anything like that? Is that
well, I suppose that in some ways that would make sense, because like I said, there are things that help the body to make more insulin. So it's not just glucose that would stimulate the body to make insulin, but also fats in the body. So the nuts would do that, but I would not use that as a therapy necessarily per se when your blood sugar levels are high. I would just make that part of a comprehensive meal. Look, I wouldn't worry so much about having your blood sugar level be high in that one state. Does that make sense? We just don't want a continuous level of high blood sugar levels. If your sugar level is above 25, you really need to see a medical doctor, because that sugar level needs to be brought down. What we generally do at the center is we would put up a drip, and we would use whatever method we can to drive that sugar out of your blood, into your cells, or out of your body, whichever way it takes, so that we're not exposing your beta cells to high levels. And we've seen great success with that. Some people are so dehydrated, we have to put them on 3 drips until their blood sugar levels goes down. And then we find that after that, then they're able to sustain low blood sugar levels. But if your blood sugar is like 12 to 20, go for a walk, just consistently do the lifestyle changes. And that's why what Louise was doing was, she did not completely remove somebody of their medication, but it was a graduated thing. So insulin came off, and then they were on their medication, then 1 pill came off, and then there was pill, then half a pill came off, until the body was able to take over. So that's another way of ensuring that you keep your blood sugar levels low.
Okay, there's so many things I'd like to ask, but I'll just fit this one final thing. Have you heard about diabetes reversal using a ketogenic diet? And I know that most ketogenic diets are heavily meat, saturated with a lot of meat. But there's ketogenic diets that are vegetarian and vegan. Have you heard of diabetes reversal using methods like that?
Yes. And the idea behind that is that you want to use up your glucose stores and your glycogen stores, so that your body now switches into creating ketones. But remember, your brain primarily likes glucose as a form of energy rather than ketones. So if you understand what you're doing, and you understand that your brain is going to be working on ketones for a while, and then you need to ultimately be able to go back to being on a glucose diet. I've seen that, except a lot of people who do that, they're on a banting diet, and they tend to suffer from constipation. But yes, I have seen that. We must and I like your questions, I really do. Because what we must ensure is that our treatments do not reverse diabetes, but give us a new disease. That's always what we're doing. You can take insulin and your sugar levels go down, but then in a couple of years, 20, 40 years from now, you're going to have kidney failure, amputations. So you want a solution that brings more life. It does not do away with one disease and trade it for another.
I totally agree, because I've seen people who are just on it. They're not diabetic, but they say they're on a ketogenic diet, and they're just on it long term. I think that's, to me, unhealthy. If you're going to be on that for, I don't know, a number of weeks, couple of months, something like that, a set goal, and then you're going to come off and you're going to go back onto a normal diet, because you're cutting out so many things that God intended for us to eat. And I don't agree with. I hear people saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't have fruits. You can't have fruits." I said, "Well, why did God make us fruitarians?" I said we've gotten ourselves into a situation where we're now ill, and then yes, you might need to cut fruits out, or reduce fruit intake, or change things around in order to correct things. But then you need to go back and eat these things, but eat them in a correct way. Have a healthy diet, a balanced diet, whatever. But yeah, I do believe, I do think the ketogenic reversal is a good thing, but not as a permanent way of life, just as a treatment, really.
Yes, absolutely, as a treatment.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. There's so much more I'd like to say, but I'll give somebody else a chance. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. I see a question here from the chat, and that's from, is it, I beg your pardon, let me just recheck that. That's from Ali to everyone, saying, what can you have late in the evening if you feel hungry?
A glass of cold water. Well, if you're not diabetic and you're not on a weight loss program, you can have some fruits. Remember, fruits take about 2 hours to be digested. So by the time you go to bed, you should be your stomach should be all done. You could have toast with avocado. You could have a soup broth. You know, that's something very light that you can have.
You smile when you said the glass of water, but to be honest, that really does help.
Yes, a cold water. It'll just shrink up your stomach, and you won't want to eat anything after that.
Okay, there's another question in the chat.
Yes, we do. Sorry, go ahead, Sharon.
Someone was saying, can you use fenugreek and cinnamon together?
Yes, absolutely. If you can't stand the fenugreek, you can grind it up and have them put into capsules. But yes, you can use fenugreek and cinnamon together.
Okay. And another question is it true that the human body needs 85% high fiber carbohydrates, 10% protein, and 5% lipids or fats daily?
I don't know about that.
Okay, all right, thank you. I've not seen any questions on YouTube yet. Well, ones that haven't been answered. We've already answered some on YouTube. Not seen any more. So we are.
Well, while you're looking for questions, I would like to say, you know, it's like when people say the human body needs 8 glasses of water. Well, if my body is toxic, I'm going to need more water than somebody else is going to need. So it's important to not make general statements about what the human body needs, because if you're trying to build weight or muscles, you may need more proteins, you know, and by proteins I mean amino acids, plant-based ones. So we must just be careful to not now say I'm going to eat 85% carbohydrates and 5% of that. You need to understand your body and what it needs, and you may need to do a consultation to see where you are. I see a hand from Jay.
Jay, if you can tell us your name, where you're from, and then go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm from North London. I wanted to find out what kind of things that you can have for lunch, and also what kind of teas you would recommend. Herbal.
All right. Is it okay if I put Janine on the spot with regards to the meals? I'll answer about the herbal teas. Like I said, you can have a variety of teas. You can have fenugreek as a tea if you're diabetic. You can have ginger and turmeric tea because those are anti-inflammatory. You don't want to be in an inflammatory state. You can have hibiscus, which has vitamin C. There's so many different herbal teas. I suppose I haven't even gone into drinking milk thistle to support your liver, red clover for just a general cleanse. You know, it depends on what it is you're trying to achieve. But actually, if you mean tea, as in to replace the normal nice teas that you normally have, hibiscus is a nice tea to have. There are fruit trees that you can have. Yeah, those are some of the things.
Doctor, can I just interject that actually the hibiscus or sorrel to Caribbean people, so it's a drink that we drink at Christmas time. It actually reduces blood sugar. It actually does reduce blood sugar. I did a little research on that before.
Mm-hmm.
And stevia, but you know, as with anything, some things agree with some people and some things, you know, I mean, you mentioned cinnamon, but I know somebody that used cinnamon and it didn't agree with them. So as with anything, so, you know, some things might agree with one individual and not with another, but hibiscus does reduce blood sugar. Stevia usually reduces blood sugar as well. And they make, in a combination, they actually make a very nice cinnamon. I drink it all the time. Cinnamon, ginger, stevia, and hibiscus. Very nice. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. That's why there's such a variety. so that if you can't have the cinnamon, you can have something else. So thank you for sharing that knowledge with us as well, Jay.
Thank you. Somebody did say is having too much cinnamon bad for your liver. Too much of anything. That's why we need to exercise temperance. Too much of anything is going to be bad for you. So you need to exercise thoughtful practice as well as variety.
Can I just interject something about that cinnamon? Bear in mind that there are a number of items that people are calling cinnamon, and there's true cinnamon, and and there's cassia, and there's Ceylon cinnamon, and there's cassia cinnamon, and they have different actions. And so the thing about harming yourself, they say that it's the cassia one that's got more. I think it's I can't remember what the actual thing in it is, but that's the one that's got it in a higher volume. But funny enough, I checked another research article, and they said that it's the cassia cinnamon that has more of a ability to reduce blood sugar or correct diabetes and stuff like that. So that is something that maybe somebody would have to talk to a physician or somebody with that kind of a knowledge, if they're not that way inclined, then for some guidance on those things. But I'm a bit of a research freak, so I research my own things anyway. So I that's why I understand and know that. But not everybody is that way inclined, so somebody might need guidance in those things. Okay.
All right.
Great. Okay, we have 3 questions, 3 hands raised. I see Merle. Are you there, Merle? If you could just unmute and tell us maybe your full name and where you're from, and then your question.
She might not be with her device. If we take the other hand, then so it's Merle Taylor, then Keris or Saris, followed by Jay and Hope. Okay, Saris, would you like to ask your... Who's that?
Is it Merle? My name is Merle, and I'm from Telford.
Who's that?
Hi,
yes,
Merle.
go ahead, Merle. Ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Good evening. Sorry about that. My name is Merle. I'm from Telford. I am a diabetic type 2 on metformin, and I just wonder, how will this juicing affect me having my tablet, my medication?
It's important, like I said, that you have your sugar testing machine, because then you will be able to check on a regular basis. Yeah, but if you're on metformin, really, you're not bad at all.
No,
You are
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, you're a great candidate for reversing the diabetes, so that you don't need to do that. So that this would be great for you. All you need to do, all you need to do is just regularly check your blood sugar levels to see. Because the whole point of the metformin is to lower your blood sugar level. So if your blood sugar is already low, then what are you doing?
But during the juicing, do I take the medication as normal?
Yes, I would recommend that you do. Okay, you need to know right now, if your sugar level in the morning when you wake up is above normal, then you will take your smoothie and you will take your medication. Then you would be able to check, isn't it, for the next 7 days. As you start to see your blood sugar levels go down, then you can have a conversation with your doctor about it. And don't just focus on the juicing. Also have a look at the holistic lifestyle that you may want to change. And then you may see a greater impact, such that your own doctor can actually say to you, you know what, Mel, I see that your sugar is going too low. Let's reduce how much metformin you're taking, or let's take you off it and observe you over the next couple of months.
But what I really want to know, do I need to take like a sandwich or something, small before I take the medication, or just the juicing will be sufficient?
No, you don't have to do it as a meal replacer, the smoothie, because it's already blended. You can have it as part of your breakfast. You can have it as just before your lunch, and then you still have your meal, or you can have it 2 hours before you have your meal, and then you take your, like, let's say you have breakfast at around, you could be having it at 10. So at 8 in the morning, you can have your smoothie. Then at 10, you can have your breakfast. Then you take your medication. Then 6 hours later, you do that and you check your sugar levels.
Thank you so much. That's clarify what I wanted to know.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Meryl. Series, if you're still there, is it Keris
Hello,
or Series?
hello, Keris. Good evening.
Hi, Keris.
Good
Please
evening.
let us know where you're from.
Yeah, calling in from Watford, Hertfordshire, and it's really in regards to my father. He's 88 years old. He was quite stable with his diabetes type 2, but recently he hasn't. It's been a little bit off. My sister's with him at the moment, so she's kind of keeping an eye on his diet and everything. But I was wondering, we found out that his kidney function is only at about 40%. So is there anything you could perhaps suggest that we can help add to his diet? And we've taken him off of all sort of meats, fishes, etc. So he's on a vegetarian vegan diet at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's good. Coming off the plant-based diet would really help him. If he's at 40%, that's still good functionality. Is he on insulin?
No, he's on metformin. Sorry, I can't remember it just right now, but he's putting on to a second. Yeah.
Yeah, if he goes on a plant-based diet, if he does these lifestyle changes, and then you can have the functionality checked. Look, we've had people, your normal kidney function is supposed to be 90 milliliters of blood going to your kidneys every minute to be filtered. Okay, yes. 90. So for a number of people with diabetics, we've seen people with functionalities of 6 who are supposed to be on diet. And when we change their lifestyle, especially when we remove the meat and we put them on a high fiber diet, obviously he can still have water. He would still be able to do that. Then what you start to see is that kidney function starts to improve because the kidney does not have so much waste to deal with. So because he's 80, I would be very gradual with the changes. I can't recommend any more than doing the basic lifestyle changes, because other things that we would do, I don't know what his heart is like, what his heart rate is like. So I can't recommend.
Yeah, he has a pacemaker. That was all good. He had that checked at the beginning of this year, and he usually walks for about an hour and a half every day.
All right. Yeah. Then I really recommend.
There's lots of hills in Yorkshire, so he walks up lots of hills. Yeah. And he's a gardener.
Yeah, I recommend just the basic, the lifestyle changes, and perhaps some of the supplements, because remember, these are not drugs. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
Perhaps some chromium, putting some cinnamon in there, making sure he's got his vitamin Bs, and probiotics are important. CoQ10 is good for somebody like him with a bit of a heart issue.
Yes.
Spending some time in the sun. Fenugreek should not interfere with anything that he's on. And yes, those are the basic things. And then keep at it. Remember, 40% functionality. He can improve, and he still has room to make changes. So don't panic. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And we bought he's got his machine for his blood sugars as well, so he's able to check that and his weight and blood pressure. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for your question. Can I just remind you, if you do have a question, please can you keep it brief, so it's not too personal. And then we have a lot of hands to get through still. So we only have about 4 minutes left, but it looks like we're going to extend a little bit longer if you are available, Dr. Louisa, but not too much longer.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next hand is Jay. Would you like to unmute? Tell us where you're from. And your proper
I think
name?
Jade has been. She just forgot to lower her hand.
Yes, I have
Sorry.
been before. I just wanted to find out what about Cersei, and also if you can't walk for an hour a day, what else can you do apart from the walking?
I'm not sure. What was the question?
Okay, would you recommend Cersei?
I'm not sure I know what that is, or I'm hearing you.
Cersei tea. It's the same family plant as bitter melon. Bitter melons.
Okay,
but
I'm not aware of it. I haven't
Yeah.
looked into the research on what effect it would have on diabetes, so I can't comment on that.
It's supposed to be good, but yeah.
I say also, what about if you're unable to walk for like an hour a day or for half an hour? What other exercise would you recommend?
Working in the garden, it gives you fresh air. You work up your muscles, and you are in the sun. It's one of the greatest exercise there is, and you get to grow your own food.
Okay, thanks for that. I have started doing that anyway from last year, but thank you. Okay, so both actually.
Also, if you can't manage half an hour, start with what you can do, and you'll be surprised how much your stamina will build up. So, you know, do what you can.
It's not I can't, it's just that it's recommended that I shouldn't. That's why I'm asking. Yeah. But thank you for that.
Thanks, Jay. Our next question, I think, is Junior. Junior, if your hand is still up, please unmute. Let us know your name, where you're from, and your question.
Junior, and good evening to everybody as well. Basically, I'm type 1 diabetic. I have they put me on the thing where I carb count. So basically, I wanted to know what's the best amount of carbs to have in one meal, in each meal. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know how to answer your question. This is what I was saying. I don't know why they have put you on a carb counting restriction thing. So I can't really make any comments on that. You see, when when we treat individuals, this is why we say we can't make things individual. We would have to understand what we're doing. If somebody is here and their blood sugar is 30, I would not even give them any carbohydrates. I would put them on a green raw salad for that moment. But if somebody else comes and their blood sugar is 7, I may give them a lot of carbs. So I don't know why you are on that. So for me to say you need to take so many carbs would just not be, it wouldn't be proper. I don't know why you're on carbs and you're counting them.
Because like basically, if I have rice, they say have 100 grams of rice, and basically then I give myself 4 units of insulin to break down that rice. So
Oh, you need to have a consultation. That's the only thing I can say, because one, if you're using insulin, I would not even have you eating rice. I would not, because that's a high glycemic carbohydrate. Once it gets broken down, it just floods the system, and that's going to you need an individualized and personalized consultation to choose your foods carefully, and also to know how to then use your insulin, because I don't know if your insulin you take it before or after meals. So then you would need to have a sliding scale where we say after you check, because you need to check before what it is so that you know what you can eat, and you check it after so that you know how to augment your insulin. So yeah, that becomes challenging when you're not. For those kind of people, I normally admit them at the center, and we monitor them ourselves until we get them to a safe space and we see that they understand how to choose their foods and how to augment using insulin to use as little as possible. Does that make sense?
So basically, if I wouldn't have rice. I wouldn't have pasta. I'd have like, so what fruits would be better? Like carrots and things like that, vegetables, like on that basis. I know. I know.
Junior, we need to have a one-on-one because I think you're trying to focus in zone in on a specific answer, but I can't do that because if you wake up one day and your blood sugar level is 4 and you just eat a green salads and then you inject yourself, you're going to have hypoglycemia.
Oh, yeah,
but if you wake up on another day and your blood sugar is 20 and then you eat fruits, then your sugar level is going to go high because there's more. Remember I said, if you get stressed, if your girlfriend dumps you and you get stressed, your cortisol goes up, your sugar is going to be affected. So you need to understand the principles of how to know what your sugar is like before, what has affected it so that you know what to do about it. So we need to have a thorough education with you. So I will send you my number, and then I'll send you some things that you just kind of need to understand, because you're on insulin and we want to, anyway, I'll send you on the side there my WhatsApp number.
Okay.
And be patient. I have a 7-day turnaround time.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Louisa, because there is quite a lot of questions people asking from while you was even talking, and thank you very much, Junior. People were asking, how do we contact the doctor? So if you put that in there, be mindful, as Dr. Louisa said, she may not get back to you straight away, but she will get there. Okay, and if we do have one last question, the number will be available in the chat. Thank you. We have one last question, and remember, try not to make it as a personal consultation. Thank you very much. Obvious reasons, and we are recorded and we're live on Zoom. Thank you.
Hope.
Hi there.
Yes, Hope. Where were you calling? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from basically Warsaw. I missed the topic, which was about the cinnamon, because my device logged out, and I want to know what was the best type of cinnamon to use, if there's any specific type compared to the ones obviously you get in the supermarket.
Ceylon.
It was actually one of the ladies that was on the Zoom call who was giving us details about the cinnamon. I don't believe Doctor gave any specifics about cinnamon. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And the other thing is, if anything that you've missed, you can always go back and watch on YouTube. So if you go onto True Temperance International in the search bar on YouTube, you can rewind, you can see all the slides again, you can see the testimonies again, and you can share the information with people who have unfortunately not been able to come onto the platform. So don't forget, we do have our our what's the thing called? YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that, press like as well, and share. And also, if you leave your we have Telegram groups, so we can put the link on there and we can contact you and encourage you throughout the week with a variety of things such as recipes, and lots of advice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions. There's no more hands, and there's no questions on YouTube. We are pretty much out of time now. So,
how do we arrange consultations? Sorry, how do we arrange one-on-one consultations, please? Sorry to just jump in like that, but I thought you were going to go off. How do we arrange one-to-one consultations, please?
Dr. Louisa, just keep an eye out on the chat. She will give you her WhatsApp number that will go in there. And so don't log off before you get that.
Okay.
And also, Foy gave us her research presentation earlier. If you're still on here, Foy, she did say that she's got the PowerPoint slides, what she was using for her research. So if Foy is available, we can allow you to screen share and you can put your presentation up. But before that, thank you so much, Dr. Louisa. We know many people have benefited from your presentation. There we go. The contact number is there for you. So thank you for your patience, everybody. So many people have benefited. So many people are affected by the condition, or if you're not, you know somebody, and wherever they are in the world, so long as they have internet access, they can get access to this valuable information. So Q, do you see anything else that we need to address?
Well, thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you everyone for attending and for spending some time with us. Thank you for everybody who participated and asked questions. It always fleshes out the topic of the day. I think we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you so much, Dr. Louisa. Remember, once more, her contacts are in the chat, so if you really do need her contact, just go in there, copy her phone number, and then you can WhatsApp her later. We are now going to just ask everyone to maybe, as we wrap it up, just you can switch on your camera and introduce yourself if you have something that you want to share with us. But we've pretty much come to the end of our formal program now.
Also, just letting you know that we do have another program for you next week. So for those of you who are on here for the first time, each week we have a different topic. So stay tuned. If you are on our groups, one of our groups, Telegram groups, we will get posted to you prior to the presentation. So you will have information about the topic, and you'll be able to invite your friends as well. Thank you.
Just to let you know, the presentation is 16 slides. So I've dropped it in a PDF on the chat for anyone who wants it. I can also drop it in on the Telegram forum for anyone, for the ladies. Sharon, I guess I'll leave you to sort out the men's forum.
That's fine. They will be able to access it as well if they want it. So that's all the information. Can you just share with us the 6 key ingredients that you gave us the health benefits for?
It was garlic, onion, thyme, bay leaf, oregano, and rosemary.
Thank you very much for that, Foy. That was wonderful what you did. Really, really appreciated your research. And I'm sure Alvin's been fairly quiet. Maybe he's been preoccupied, but you will get your Zoom, your ebook with the cookery. And he did say he's going to personalize it as well. So he'll have some way of doing that. I know he will. He won't disappoint you. Okay. And it's 141 pages. He says every time he mentions it. So there you go.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You're
okay,
welcome.
great. Thank you once more, everyone. Please don't leave before you get the essential details, and also before you join the groups. And please, if you like, you can just open up now. Just switch on your mic and your camera, and let us know who you are. We like to get to know our participants.
Is this where we say goodbye to YouTube?
Thank you, Deborah Courtney.